Hope everyone's having a pleasant afternoon. So we are in Colorado, Breckenridge area, just passing the Silverthorne exit, if you know where that is. It's where you get off to go to Breckenridge. And we're running the route of what's known as the Ike Gauntlet, if you've heard of it. The TFL guys, the TFL truck guys run this test religiously on every truck they can get their hands on, and it's basically a test to see how well a truck can handle an 8-mile uphill climb, loaded relatively heavily in very thin air. I think it said our elevation is at the start of this thing was like 9,800 feet, give or take. So any truck that doesn't have forced induction, is automatically at a disadvantage because it can't breathe and it can't make power at altitudes this high. And any truck that doesn't have tow haul mode and doesn't have a strong enough transmission with enough gears and also the ability to cool itself is at a disadvantage on this test. And obviously a truck that doesn't have enough power is at a severe disadvantage, with or without forced induction, meaning a turbo. And so we're just kind of running the same route they do. It's an 8-mile route, and just subjectively seeing how well the truck handles it. We've been through a number of steep uphill and downhill ascents and descents with this truck and trailer. It's a 21 F-150 with the 3.0 diesel, so-called Power Stroke, and the 10-speed automatic transmission, the 10R80, which is the only transmission you can get with the diesel because they introduced the diesel in 2018, right when they switched from a 6-speed to a 10-speed. So there's no such thing as a 3.0 diesel with a 6-speed automatic. And XLT, 6.5-foot bed, 4-wheel drive, so on and so forth. We're not passing this guy, so we're just going to tuck in behind him. And this is like the least powerful F-150 among the least powerful F-150s you could buy at the time. It only has 250 horsepower. It only has around 450 pound-feet of torque. And compared to an EcoBoost, that's basically nothing. The small EcoBoost, the 2.7 liter V6 EcoBoost makes 300 plus horsepower, and it's a rocket. And this thing is anything but a rocket. However, during this trip we've taken, and we're on our 6th day of it now. We left out last Sunday from Michigan, hit California on Thursday, turned around, and now we're headed back east. And even though this is a severely underpowered engine, or pickup truck you might say, it actually does pretty well. And so we're going up again, an 8-mile long, 6 or 7% grade, and we're doing okay. We're more or less holding the speed limit, which is 60. And anytime we're towing, we lock out the upper 2 gears using the buttons on that column shift there. And we're actually not just doing okay, I'd say we're doing surprisingly well. Gonna downshift to 5th, just get the RPMs up a little bit more. And it's not as if you can't do it at lower RPMs, but we like to keep it at a bare minimum of 2,000 RPMs when we're under load, when we're under boost. Something peculiar to notice, or to point out, the boost is not hitting the levels that it normally does. Usually when we're going uphill under heavy load and heavy throttle, the boost is pegged at like 24, 25. And I'm not sure if it's because the air is so thin or what it is, but the boost is holding steady at like only about 15, 16, 18 pounds. So that's a noticeable difference from like when we were going through Wyoming. through the Rockies in Wyoming, you only hit about a 7,300 elevation at most. And right now we're well over 10,000. So that's just kind of an interesting observation, that the engine does not make full boost in the Colorado Rockies at high elevation at like 10,000 plus feet. Whereas, again, in Wyoming, going through the high elevations in Utah, and it gets like 7,000 plus in Utah, 7,500 plus. Or like Donner Pass in like Tahoe, Reno, Tahoe area. When you hit 9 or 10,000, yeah, I guess the engine's ability to make max boost is impaired. Never seen that happen before. However, we're still making good speed, and you see we're holding the speed limit of 60, and the temps are steady, and so the truck's just not having that much trouble. When we were coming down from Vail just now, which is a pretty steep downhill descent, like 6% grade for, I don't know, 5-6 miles, with a little bit of twists and turns in the highway. The engine was able to hold the truck and keep it from taking off on us in a way that just continues to impress us, continues to astonish and impress us. And we never, ever thought it would be like that. We thought this would be a white knuckle ride, like it was in our Cummins, our 5.9 Cummins the last time we took it through the area. You see we're starting to get some snow accumulation here. And I don't know if it's enough to open up the mountains for skiing or not, but you know, there's some. So again, super interesting observation or data point. The engine will not make max boost when it's, let's just say, above 9,000 feet. Fuel economy, not bad, 6.6. Our trailer, by the way, is our 28-foot Featherlight enclosed all aluminum gooseneck. It's a tandem axle, 14,000 GVW, and this F-150 tows it like a champ. It's got lane centering and lane keeping, and so it can do 99% of the steering on a long road trip, and you barely even feel the trailer back there because it's so stable, because it's connected to the bed of the truck instead of the receiver hitch, which is, you know, hung way out there behind the back wheels, and it creates a pivot point, and it wants to start pushing your truck around when the wind gets a hold of it. A gooseneck is I mean, it is such an easy trailer to tow, and it is so stable and so safe. It's basically the only kind of trailer we tow for any significant amount of distance. Okay, so we're getting to the top, and this is the end of the Gauntlet, which I think is a trademark term, so we're just going to call it the Gauntlet. And our final MPGs were 6.5. Not sure what our time was, but this truck passed with flying colors. With absolutely flying colors. With a total weight of the truck and trailer combined of 13,000 pounds, which is about a 5,500 or 6,000 pound truck and a 7,000 or 7,500 pound trailer. And so per our previous discussions or videos about this truck, we have completely reevaluated how much you can and should tow with an F-150 safely. And whereas a week ago we would have said 6,000 is about the most you should ever tow with an F-150, especially in the mountains, we are now entirely comfortable and confident, given this truck's ability to hold itself in the downhill using just friction and pumping losses. It doesn't even have engine braking. It doesn't even have an exhaust brake like a heavy duty does, even though it's a VGT, which is a big wasted opportunity. Just the amount of internal friction and the amount of pumping losses is enough to hold the weight of the truck and the trailer in the downhill and safely get you down a very steep grade. And the engine, this little baby Power Stroke, this tiny little 3-liter diesel with the 10-speed 10R140 transmission, which also continues to impress us, and the extremely tall 331 final drive, which is not the final drive you want when you're towing. Somehow it overcomes that. And our MP, I mean, over the course of an entire until we reset it just now, we were getting like 14.5 mpgs, going up and down very, very steep mountains. Obviously, tow haul mode is mandatory, and we were mentioning the last time we talked. These trucks would do them. Ford would do themselves a lot of good if they program these trucks to do things like, oh, I don't know, automatically putting themselves into tow haul mode. When it detects that there's a trailer, maybe a trailer plugged in, or when it detects the weight of the trailer based on how hard it has to work to accelerate it. The truck can figure that out relatively easily. All right, so you see we're on a steep downhill grade. It said it's going to be between 5 and 6% for the next 12 miles. And the truck is holding it. We're all the way down in fourth gear now at 64, 65 miles an hour. And just based on the speed, based on the throttle position, sometimes you have to do a brake application to get it to downshift, but it will downshift, and the engine braking is enough to keep you relatively safe and even comfortable and confident, as we've discussed many times in the past. All right, well, that's all for now. Again, after a trip through the Ike Gauntlet, we would say this truck passed with flying colors. And if you have a chance to pick one up, we could not recommend it more highly. Again, the F-150 with the 3.0 baby Power Stroke V6. All right, everyone, we'll talk to you later.